Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys some breaking news with Boruto 2 Blue Vortex manga that is coming to us via the official Naruto website, and it's giving us more information and answering a set of really big questions we had coming into Boruto 2 Blue Vortex volume number 2, which is how did Boruto learn the flying Raijin? And it drops a couple of bombshells. One that is absolutely expected, and another highlights how big of a genius Boruto is, as well as how observant Sasuke is as a character in terms of how much further Boruto still has to go as a shinobi despite all of his genius. As the expression goes, the more things change, the more they remain the same, and this is a classic example of this being the case. Now, this was not the only set of Naruto and Boruto related news that has dropped in the last few days while I've been out of town for my nephew's preschool graduation and his birthday weekend. So I'll be taking the next few days to go over the news that has been broken while I was in the mountains and unable to record. So over on the official Naruto website, they're continuing to substitute the releasing of a physical data book for Boruto by just uploading material that would be shown in a data book up on the website, and not just relying on the traditional data books like the 4 that Naruto's manga did and the additional 5 supplemental guidebooks that Naruto's manga had, or the databases that Boruto's manga would give us in the physical copies of the manga, which is smart. And this is another great example why I've been pounding the table for the last few years that we needed Boruto databooks, and not just those rinky-dink shinobi stat cards that people take out of context from early Boruto. This is a data book that we have here, and there's a lot here. So the entry says that Boruto learned the flying Raijin by directly training under Kashin Koji, but it also gives us information that explains why Boruto believed he wasn't as good as his grandfather Minato. So let's read the entry itself and then break everything down. Under the ninjutsu section on the website, it says that Boruto's flying Raijin, a teleportation ninjutsu that Boruto's grandfather, 4th Hokage Minato Namikaze, was famous for. Users can teleport to specific points that have been previously marked. Boruto's flying Raijin comes with a twist though, which, side note, some Tobirama fans are definitely in the mud right now. No mention of Tobirama. With the help of Kashin Koji, Boruto develops his own variation of the technique, which could technically be considered an entirely separate jutsu. Compared to Minato Namikaze's flying Raijin jutsu, it has more limitations. That last set of lines is what grabbed my attention, and it should have grabbed your attention as well. It technically could be considered an entirely different jutsu, and that compared to Minato's jutsu, it has more limitations. That gives us our major answer to 2 major things that I know I wasn't the only one asking those questions when these chapters came out. Boruto said he wasn't as good at using the jutsu as his grandfather, and the first thing that people pointed to is that Boruto was using a hand seal for the jutsu, but we've seen Minato use the concentration seal before when using it, same with Tobirama. The next question though was, how was it that Boruto was able to teleport to an Otsuki dimension using the flying Raijin when neither Minato or Tobirama could do so after Kaguya took Team 7 to her dimension? Because both Naruto and Sasuke were each marked with flying Raijin seals. Minato had marked Naruto, and Tobirama had marked both Naruto and Sasuke, and the jutsu sealing formula never goes away unless someone becomes a Jinchuriki and gets the seal, at which point the seal does have to be reapplied, as we saw with Obito after Minato cut him and realized that he was the masked man. Minato then saw Obito become the 10-tailed Jinchuriki and had to remark him with the seal. We might have our answer here, and it goes back to what Sasuke said was a flaw with Boruto, which is an intentional flaw that Masashi Kishimoto gave when Boruto's character was being written for the Boruto movie. Boruto is so much of a genius that he picks up on things super fast, finding cheat codes, and he cuts corners in order to get to the same result. And that might be what we're seeing here. Just as Boruto was able to master wind release after seeing Mitsuki perform it, and just by remaking the hand seals that he saw and applying the chakra nature via his own instincts, he was able to do it with the Rasengan, where he didn't even realize he had added a lightning change in chakra nature to it, because he was just rushing to master the jutsu in order to be accepted as Sasuke's student. There's a direct line you can draw between this flying Raijin and those instances there. Boruto might have done the same thing here, which is what the databook entry on the website is implying by saying that it technically could be a different jutsu altogether. Think of it in the way that the wind release Rasengan is a different jutsu than the wind release Rasen Shuriken, but both of those jutsu are made using the parent jutsu known as the Rasengan, but again, they're all three different jutsu when you look at them as they are. Boruto did just the same thing that was previously established with the flying Raijin that it didn't have the capacity to do, which is teleport to a marker in a Otsutsuki dimension, which we know those dimensions require an enormous amount of chakra to be sacrificed in order to enter, as via Obito's statement in volume 71, because it wasn't his time space, and Sasuke's own words in Naruto chapter 708 via Naruto Gaiden, the 7th Hokage in the Scarlet Spring. And as we saw in Naruto volume 71 also, Minato and Tobirama were unable to teleport to those dimensions despite having people in those dimensions that had those seals on them. Regardless, due to Boruto learning flying Raijin in such an unorthodox way, very befitting of Naruto's son, who was unorthodox, and Minato's grandson, who we also saw Minato had an unorthodox way of making the Rasengan by hearing Jiraiya explain the hair growth patterns in the process. We basically saw Boruto remake the flying Raijin via this insane level of genius and intellect, which means he isn't done trying to improve the jutsu, which means there are more variations coming to this jutsu. And it comes back to the fact that he is in the hopes of learning another of his grandfather's jutsu, appears to have unintentionally cut corners in the process and made something new entirely altogether without even realizing it. And thus force is just like the Vanish Rasengan problem. He added a lightning release change in chakra nature to it, but as Kakashi pointed out, his attack had very little punch to it, despite the lightning release chakra nature being added to the jutsu that is the pinnacle of changing chakra shape, which by default should have made it extremely destructive. One of the strongest chakra natures added to the pinnacle changing chakra form and shape. And that ultimately led to Boruto being forced to relearn the basics of the Rasengan under Kakashi in order to strengthen his vanishing Rasengan and then form a new Rasengan. We might be seeing Boruto eventually go back over some of the basics of the flying Raijin, and that brings me to the next big reveal here. So Kashin Koji is why Boruto learned the jutsu, and it makes absolute sense. We talked about this here on the channel after chapter 4 came out in the video, that Kashin Koji is the only logical explanation to Boruto learning the jutsu, and that it had to deal with Boruto experimenting with a real life theory, a vague theory that some in the scientific community have claimed to disprove, which is the belief that clones contain traces of memories of their original. Naruto's manga has shown us that chakra contains memories. Amado's clones have both the chakra and the memories of the original. Kashin Koji was shown beginning to awaken the genetic memories of Jiraiya before he died. Akibi's clones that Amado made in Delta, they contain her memories as well. But each Kashin Koji and Delta, they didn't have the personality of the original, the same way that none of Orochimaru's clones in, say, Log and Mitsuki have Orochimaru's personality or memories, or the Shin clones, they have an entirely different personality than the original Shin. We're seeing both sides of scientific theory on cloning being put on display here. Another sign of Boruto continuing to build on things introduced in Naruto while also dabbling with stuff that you see in real life science. The idea that Kashin Koji possesses those memories of Jiraiya, even though they're fragmented, and being able to help Boruto with the flying Raijin by filling in the gaps as to why Boruto's jutsu has limitations. The direct line is there. Jiraiya was Minato's teacher. He'd have seen Minato working to develop the jutsu. Jiraiya might not have mastered the jutsu, likely due to the large chakra that the jutsu is shown to require, 3 Jonin having to pull their chakra together just to perform the basic teleportation of the flying Raijin, specifically because they say they didn't have Minato's large chakra pool to use it. Hence, they combined their chakra. However, part of what made Jiraiya so interesting is that the guy, he might not have been able to perform every jutsu known to man, but we've seen in the series he has an extensive knowledge of ninjutsu, which makes sense given who his teammate was in Orochimaru and his teacher was the 3rd Hokage, 2 men who might have the highest knowledge base of any characters in the series when it comes to ninjutsu and chakra, with the third Hokage being able to correctly guess how Obito was using the truth-seeking orbs after only seeing them be used once. There would be some gaps in there with the jutsu. Kashin Koji has fragmented memories, so Boruto didn't get the full thing. It's like being given pieces of a jigsaw puzzle and being able to make out what the finished puzzle will look like, but not taking the time to fill in all the pieces. That's the difficulty in terms of the gift and the curse when it comes to training geniuses. Once they figure it out, they are prone to automatically move on to the next aspect of it, even if they're missing some of the basics. They know enough of the foundation to begin improving on and pass it off as the real thing. It's very hard to keep gifted people mentally stimulated because once they get bored, they tend to check out. Hence why you had people like me who went to school, skipped class, might have missed homework and etc. Thus the grade said, oh, he's a C and a D student, but passed all my tests with a 90 to 95 percentile each and every time, which led to teachers making me retake tests because they thought I was cheating. Lo and behold, we do a Wonderlic score. I get a 30 on the Wonderlic. I take the intelligence test and I get a 129. So I said to say, you guys have heard me say before, I relate to some aspects of Boruto's character. I can see what Kishimoto is going for when he says that Boruto's so smart that it is actually a detriment to him, because the way that the kid's mind works is instead of saying 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 4, Boruto's mind goes 3 + 1 = 4. Boruto just skips to the answer and doesn't care about what it takes to get to the answer. All that matters is that he got there, which that's a really good character flaw for him. That goes a long way into explaining why Boruto is using it differently than say Minato did. Minato marked kunai to teleport to places, and he placed sealing formulas on places and people, whereas Boruto is placing the sealing formula on accessories like the Konoha badges that his toes are carrying around, and he's using the toes to transport the markers so that he can continuously move to other locations. That's not saying he can't use it without the toes, because he can, but he is more adaptable by having the toads carry the markers so that his seals are constantly on the move. There's a little bit more strategic advantage there. We see him able to use his jutsu by marking things like shuriken, like he did when he threw the shuriken at Mitsuki during their fight and he bounced it off of the snake attack and used the trajectory to land in the tree branch behind Mitsuki in order to teleport to it. Basically what Sasuke was trying to train him by teaching him the Uchiha Clan Shuriken Jutsu back during Boruto the movie, the same jutsu that Fugaku passed down to Itachi and down to Sasuke, and Sasuke passed it down to Boruto and Sarada. It's just a variant, but it is something he's clearly made modifications to the jutsu to compensate for not being as good at the jutsu as his grandfather, and it goes back to his original character flaw. He's so gifted that he cuts corners to get to the outcome, but in doing so, he ends up surpassing aspects of the original jutsu that he was trying to learn. It's as Sasuke said, the moment Boruto slows down and masters the basics, he is going to be unstoppable. It's a similar critique that Kakashi had when training Boruto. I really encourage you guys to go over to the official Naruto website. There's a lot of good information there that fills in the knowledge gaps for the manga, the same way that the 4 Naruto data books and the other 5 supplemental Naruto guidebooks for the manga filled in a lot of information that Naruto's manga couldn't show and Naruto Shippuden either changed or did not show altogether. It's something I highly recommend you guys taking the time to check out, the same way I highly recommend this Lady Nagant video essay on my other channel, and I also recommend clicking on this Naruto Explained video that YouTube says is the best video for you to watch.